Thanks so much, Bob. Thanks, Mr. Nifty, for the Caspian Policy Center hosting this discussion. Timely discussion, important issues. So let me jump in. I'll try and be aware of my 5 minutes before I get flagged down with the death hand that I'm out of time. First off, let me just say a couple words about COVID-19 and what's happening in the world. According to the IEA, total energy investment this year is declining by 20% globally. That's an enormous number. In the gas sector, they estimate that the decline in investment will be 30%. So those are huge amounts of money being pulled out of investments. But it's not just the money, it's the attention, it's the activity, it's the inventiveness, the creativity of our companies who, when they invest this money, bring their talents, bring their skills, bring their manpower to play. So there's a huge change globally happening, and we're really not going to understand the effects of that for some time. Even before COVID, Bob, you touched on some of this, there were big changes going on in the world. The US over the past few years has emerged as a leader in, a global leader in oil and gas production. Now that's undergoing a change now because of COVID and the recession. But that's a sea change. As someone who grew up during the 70s, this is an enormous change, not only in our psychology, in our economy, but in our foreign policy views. Another important change: the EU has firmly committed itself to a carbon-free economy by 2050. The implications of this are not known to us. They're not known to the EU, but they are on this path, and the implications are enormous for not just for the EU, but for the global energy markets and the global economy. Bob, you pointed out international oil companies, even prior to COVID, were undergoing, I think, a number of them were undergoing a fundamental reassessment of where they were making their big investments, especially in international exploration, production, those kinds of things. That hit up against COVID, and so it just, in some ways, accelerated some of those decisions, and we're all aware of some of those that have happened. And then just as COVID was beginning to hit all of us, Saudi Arabia decided to blow up the oil market by dumping huge amounts of supply in the oil market. That has been sort of constrained again with the OPEC Plus agreement, and we'll see how that plays out. But all these things were huge shocks, short-term and long-term, to the environment that we're all operating in. And what it points out is what is always needed in any times, but certainly in the time we're facing now, is vision. Vision from governments, visions from companies, visions from actors, thinkers, inventors, creative people. It's this kind of vision that gave us the Southern Gas Corridor. When you talk to people 2 decades ago, when these ideas were being floated, there were lots of people saying this is crazy, it doesn't make any sense, you're going to waste money, and look where we are. So first off, a big congratulations on the imminent completion of the Southern Gas Corridor. Vision has led to some other things. The cooperation in the Eastern Med, troubled primarily because of Turkey's attitude, but still tremendous progress in the cooperation among countries in the Eastern Med to exploit those resources that have become available. And we'll see what that leads to in the future, but we see tremendous possibilities there, and it's an important priority for the US government. Vision has led to a real sea change in Europe's energy security. This is something that the United States has really led on, but we have real partners in Europe who also recognize the danger that they have been facing for the past couple decades of Russia's coercive use of its energy dominance in Europe. And I won't go through the list of things, but there is a long list of significant changes in European energy policies at the EU level, at the country level, at the regional level, that have really changed the whole dynamic. And Russia is in a very different position vis-a-vis Europe than they were 10 or 15 years ago. If they pull the plug on their gas supplies to Europe, it's a very different scenario than it was 10 or 15 years ago. Nevertheless, the job's not done. Bob, you mentioned the Secretary's announcement yesterday of our reinterpreting CATSA to address the threats that we see from Nord Stream 2 and Turk Stream 2. So I think I'm under my 5 minutes. I'll leave it there. I'm looking forward to the discussion. Don't want to occupy a lot of time, but again, thanks for this opportunity. Looking forward to the discussion.